Hey everybody! Today I'm talking to you about how to resolve conflict the right way. We all have different kinds of conflict in our lives, in our personal lives, in relationships with our friends and our family, in our lives at work with coworkers and bosses and people that we manage, our teams. We have all kinds of conflict in our lives, and we have to figure out how to manage it well if we want to have healthy relationships. So, I want to give you guys some tips about how to resolve conflict the right way. And by that, I mean in a way that fosters true communication and problem solving, and in a way that actually leads to a healthy solution and doesn't keep the problem going, doesn't put a strain on the relationship, and can actually bring you and the other people in your life closer together. And everyone said amen, right? So, the first thing that I want to say, number one, is don't fight in public. Just don't. It's not a good idea. It's really never a good idea. It makes everything escalate and just get out of hand so much faster because people are watching. And whether you try to kind of like tone it down or you feed off those people or whatever it is, knowing that there are other people watching you just adds stress to the situation. So just don't do it. Number two is to seek resolution over compromise. Don't just try to half-heartedly say, okay, that's fine, like we'll do it your way. That kind of resentment isn't healthy. So try to find middle ground. Try to find a solution to the problem, not just a temporary compromise that will make both of you happy and demonstrate that you care enough about the relationship that you are willing to actually permanently solve the problem. Number three is to pray about it more than you talk about it. I know it's kind of cliche, but talk to God first. It'll help you approach this conflict resolution situation and conversation with a clearer head. It'll give you the opportunity to ask God if this is something that's as big of a problem as it feels like it is, or if you're maybe blowing it out of proportion a little bit. It will give you the opportunity to think about it more, to approach it with more level-headedness, and you will then feel more peace about approaching the conversation, and it won't be just a knee-jerk reaction like in the moment when something happens. If you take the time to pause and pray about it first and still feel like it's an issue that truly needs to be addressed, then you can do that, knowing that you gave it that pause to really think and pray about whether it's an issue that you need to talk about with this other person or whether it's an issue in your own heart that maybe needs to be addressed instead. Number four is to talk calmly. Yelling never helps, you guys. I know it's tempting, especially if the other person starts raising their voice. It's so easy to raise yours in return, but really, again, that only escalates the conflict. It makes things feel a lot more serious and angry than they need to, and it actually makes the conversation take longer. If you can have a calm adult conversation at a normal level of volume, then you'll be more likely to engage and solve the problem without getting wrapped up in blaming or talking over each other or repeating yourselves or just getting angry. And you probably won't storm off or slam the door or have to take a walk around the block or something because you haven't made each other that angry. You've come together not to vent, not to yell or scream, but to solve the problem. So keep that in mind and talk calmly, friends. And I'm speaking to myself here too, but that's a reminder for all of us to talk calmly. Number five, seek to have a right relationship with the people in your life instead of having to be right. When we have conflicts with people, it's often because they didn't meet our expectations or they don't agree with us about a specific topic or issue, or maybe they did something that hurt us. But our highest goal should be to have a right relationship with them, to have a healthy relationship with them, not to be right all the time. So if you disagree about something, it's okay to disagree. You can come together. You can still have a healthy relationship if you can talk about it and agree to disagree, it's so much better than trying to be right all the time, trying to get the last word, because then you're both always going to be fighting. And that is not a healthy way for you to interact with someone that you're going to be spending a lot of time with. So make sure that you prioritize the relationship over being right. And then number 6 is to listen more than you speak. I know this is hard. This is hard for me too. I'm a talker. But if we go into a conversation that we think is going to require some conflict resolution or even some confrontation, and we choose to listen more than we speak, we can hear someone out. We can really get to know their perspective. We can maybe even understand why they did what they did, which helps us to empathize with them more. It helps us to understand. It helps us to maybe forgive faster, and it helps us find some middle ground and find a way to move forward. If we're constantly talking over the other people in our lives and not giving them space to feel what they feel and say what they need to say, then they won't feel heard or seen or appreciated. And we want our people to feel that way, right? Because we want to feel that way ourselves. So we need to give them the opportunity to speak their piece. We need to be willing to listen and then address the things that they were saying, not just jump in with our next argument, but really respond to the things that they said with empathy and with compassion to show them that, once again, we care more about the relationship than we care about being right. So listen more than you speak. Number 7, time out your conflict resolution conversation for when you have time to work it out. Don't strike up a conversation that's going to be long and difficult right before you go to bed. Don't start talking about the most recent issue that came up when someone's walking out the door, or when they're extremely tired, or when they've had a super long, stressful day. Try to find a time when you have enough time to talk about it, when you're both in relatively good moods, and when you're not in the heat of the moment. You're not coming to them super angry, wanting to just vent. You've had time to think about it. You're not in public. And again, you just have enough time to talk about it, because there's nothing worse. Well, okay, maybe there are some things worse, but it's really bad to get into a conversation about difficult things, about problems and issues that have been going on, and then to have someone say, I actually have to leave right now. Can we finish this conversation later? Or to have them go to bed after a really difficult conversation when you haven't had time to kind of recuperate from that with anything better. So keep in mind the timing of your conversation. And then number 8 is don't stew and hold it all inside, because that's not healthy for you either. It will just get bottled up, and then you'll explode, and you'll be talking to the other person in your life about 12 things that are bothering you instead of just one. And that's really overwhelming for the other person to feel like you've been racking up kind of like expenses against them, or keeping track of the things that they've done that have bothered you, instead of bringing them up one at a time, which feels a lot more manageable. So remember these things, and your conflict resolution will go better, and your relationships will be healthier, I promise. So just to recap, because I know that was quite a few, we have number 1, don't fight in public. Number 2, seek resolution over compromise. Number 3, pray about it more than you talk about it. Number 4, talk calmly. Number 5, seek to have a right relationship over being right. Number 6, listen more than you speak. Number 7, time your conversation well. And number 8, don't hold it all inside. Okay, I hope that really helps you guys with your conflict resolution conversations and just building healthy relationships. We're talking all about healthy relationships here for the month of August, and it's been so much fun. If you want any more resources for that, you can check out the rest of the Notes from Jessie page, and there's even more in the Joy and Full Living community. I will provide a link for that if you guys want to check it out. It's been so much fun to chat about all things relationships. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.